Every selfie, every comment, every carefully curated post is a small act of construction. We build personas, fragments of ourselves stitched together in pixels and captions, then present them to a world that judges at the speed of a swipe. Those fragments accumulate. They become maps of taste, desire, fear, and ambition. They inform what advertisers sell us, what platforms show us, and sometimes, even how we see ourselves. This is the rise of the digital self, an identity that lives across feeds, profiles, and algorithms, a life that is as real as the choices it shapes. But if our online selves are increasingly the mirrors the world uses to see us, then a critical question emerges: who is shaping the mirror? Consider this: platforms don't just host content, they sculpt attention. Algorithms decide which moments are amplified and which moments fade. A trending video can alter reputation in hours, a buried post can erase evidence of a lifetime. We think we control our image, but algorithms quietly curate a version of us for everyone else, and sometimes for ourselves. Today we'll trace the architecture of the digital self, how identity is assembled, how power moves through it, and what it costs us when the boundary between performer and person becomes blurred. There are small, ordinary moments that reveal the shape of this new self. A job candidate's application is screened not only by a resume, but by a social footprint. A city uses aggregated movement data to redesign transit, and suddenly your commute changes because your neighborhood is trending. Teenagers measure their worth in likes and comments, adults curate feeds for brand deals and professional credibility. These are not isolated shifts, they form a system. A system where identity is a resource, a signal, and increasingly, a form of capital. Your digital self is a composite of explicit choices and invisible traces. Explicit choices are what you post, the bio you write, the groups you join. Invisible traces are the data you leave behind, browsing histories, click patterns, the time you linger on a photograph. Machine learning stitches these layers into profiles, predictive portraits that platforms and companies use to recommend, target, and gate. Crucially, these portraits are not neutral. They are built with objectives: to maximize engagement, to serve ads, to keep you on the platform. The result is a version of you optimized for attention, not always for truth. Identity has become economic. Influencers monetize authenticity. Platforms sell attention. Data brokers sell profiles. For many, identity itself is currency. A well-curated persona opens doors to jobs, sponsorships, or social capital. But monetization creates incentives to perform. To shape a consistent brand is to play a role. Over time, the role can feel like the person. This blurs an ancient boundary between how we appear and who we are. And when identity is a product, there are winners and losers. Those with resources can buy reputation, those without become invisible. Power in the digital era flows to those who control the channels of identity. Platforms decide norms through content policies, recommendation algorithms, and feature design. Governments legislate data flows and surveillance. Corporations monetize behavioral prediction for profit. When a platform deplatforms a voice, or when an algorithm downgrades a post, the consequences extend beyond online metrics. They ripple into reputation, livelihood, and civic life. We must ask, who gets to define acceptable identity? And who enforces it? There are human costs. Social comparison fuels anxiety. The performance of self erodes authenticity. The dopamine loop of validation can alter priorities. Young people face identity scaffolding in public from an early age, a phenomenon psychologists call context collapse, where one's audience is everyone and no one. Relationships are mediated by curated feeds. Political discourse compresses nuance into viral moments. Empathy requires new effort when people are reduced to profiles. Understanding the digital self is not just technical, it is deeply psychological. Yet this landscape is not immutable. People and policymakers are pushing back. Digital literacy programs teach children to understand algorithms. Data protection laws attempt to return control to users. New platforms experiment with decentralization and user-owned identity. Artists and activists reclaim identity through counter-narratives. Designers build tools to make algorithms explainable. Corporations, slowly, face pressure to be transparent about profiling. Agency emerges when we demand clarity about the systems shaping us, and when design centers human dignity rather than attention maximization. So what does this mean for us? The digital self is a powerful amplifier of identity, but amplifiers can distort as easily as they magnify. We must treat identity as layered: the curated frontstage, the private backstage, and the aggregated data portrait used by systems. Each layer deserves rights, context, and protection. If we accept that the digital self influences opportunity, belonging, and truth, then the governing question becomes ethical and political as much as technical. How do we structure platforms, laws, and social norms so that identity empowers, rather than exploits? The answer will not come from a single law or a single design. It will require a cultural shift, an insistence that the mirror we build reflects dignity as clearly as data. At Asti Media, we don't just ask the questions, we search for the frameworks that can answer them. If you want to understand the systems that shape the digital self, from design choices to public policy, subscribe and join the conversation. Share this episode with someone who's still asking whether their online life is truly theirs. Because understanding is the first step toward reclaiming agency. We are both the architects and the artifacts of our online lives. As we click, post, and perform, we stitch new identities into the world, some liberating, some constraining. The future will ask us not only how we appear, but how we build the systems that see us. If we take that responsibility seriously, the digital self can become a space of greater freedom, not a new kind of confinement.